Hi everyone, welcome back to DGMC, Divan-e-Ghalib, Meri Zubani. To all our returning viewers, we are very happy you could join us again. And to the new viewers, we are delighted you discovered the podcast and decided to tune in for the first time. Now, if you were with me in the previous episode, you know that currently we are going through Ghazal 36 from Diwan-e-Ghalib. फिर मुझे दीदाए तर याद आया. We have already covered 5 couplets. Today we are going to cover the 6th couplet. Let's begin today's episode, as always, by starting with the narration of the couplet, followed by a quick approximate English translation, some keywords, key concepts in the share, and then finally the DGMC impression of the couplet. So allow me to narrate couplet 6 from Ghazal 36 from Divan-e-Ghalib. क्या ही रिजवां से लड़ाई होगी, क्या ही रिजवां से लड़ाई होगी, घर तेरा खुल्द में गर याद आया. The approximate translation is, what a fight there will be with angel Rizwaan, the heaven's doorman, if I was to remember your house in paradise. Let's start picking the key words and key concepts of this couplet. First word, Rizwaan. Rizwaan literally means angel Rizwaan, who acts as the heaven's doorkeeper. But symbolically, Rizwaan is not just an angel. Rizwaan is the threshold figure guarding the ultimate reward, gates of paradise. इस पे अल्लामा इकबाल का ये शेर, कुछ जो समझा मेरे शिकवे को तो रिजवां समझा, मुझको जन्नत से निकाला हुआ इंसान समझा. Beautiful couplet. The approximate translation is, only Rizwaan, in his wisdom, could understand my misgiving and resistance at the gates of paradise. He understood that I was someone expelled from paradise and not someone entering paradise. Moving on to the next word, khuld. Khuld literally means eternal abode, eternity, paradise. Symbolically, though, khuld is not just about infinite, unlimited pleasure. It is about eternal fulfilment. It is the highest state of being. मिर्ज़ा गालिब का ये शेर, निकलना खुल से आदम का सुनते आए हैं लेकिन, बहुत बेआबरू होकर तेरे कूचे से हम निकले. The approximate translation is, from beginning of time, I have been hearing about the humiliating exit of Adam from Garden of Eden. But that's nothing compared to the disappointment and humiliation of me having to leave your street behind. And then our last keyword of today, ghar. A very common word. We use it colloquially in our day-to-day language even today. Literally, it means a house, a dwelling, an abode, home, simply put. But symbolically, ghar is not just an architectural artifact. It is about proximity. It is about the ultimate destination. Beloved's house in Urdu poetry is sacred geography of love and the epicenter of today's couplet. इस पे बशीर बद्र का एक शेर, बुत भी रखे हैं, नमाजें भी अदा होती हैं, दिल मेरा दिल नहीं अल्लाह का घर लगता है. The approximate translation is, it holds idols inside it, and it offers namaz prayers too. This heart of mine doesn't seem like a heart, but house of Allah Himself. Alright, that takes care of all the keywords and key concepts in this couplet. Let's start getting into the DGMC impression of the first line. क्या ही रिजवा से लड़ाई होगी. What a fight there will be with angel Rizwaan, the heaven's doorman. Now, before we try to understand this line, we need to understand where we are. There is a gate, not made of wood or iron or stone. A gate that does not creak open, does not swing, does not respond to touch. Because it is not a gate of material, it is a gate of worth. This is the gate of paradise. And at this gate stands a being, not a warrior, not a judge, not a ruler, but something far more difficult to move. Rizwaan. He is the guardian of paradise, but not in the way we imagine a guard. He does not stand there asking questions. He does not challenge those who arrive. He does not debate. Because nothing that reaches him needs to be questioned. Every soul that arrives at this threshold has already been seen, already been weighed, already been known. Rizwaan does not decide. He recognizes. He recognizes a life lived in longing, a heart that endured, a being that was tested. He also recognizes what still clings, what still desires, what still belongs to the world. Nothing passes unnoticed, nothing slips through. Because paradise is not a reward you can argue for. It is a state you must already belong to. And so, the gate remains still, unmoved, unpersuaded. No one bargains here. No one negotiates here. No one fights here. Because at this threshold, there is nothing left to fight for. And yet, Ghalib imagines a moment where this stillness breaks. At this gate, Ghalib says, क्या ही रिजवा से लड़ाई होगी. It does not sound like a metaphor. It sounds like something that should not happen at all. That's Hallmark Ghalib. There was once someone who tried to cross this threshold without belonging. Not by right, but by deception. And that was Iblis. Before there was a fall, there was a rise. There was a being who worshipped relentlessly, endlessly, without pause. He was not an angel. He was made of fire. But his devotion lifted him so high that he stood among angels themselves. That being was Iblis. He knew God. Until the moment came when God created Adam from clay, from earth, from something lower. And then came the command, bow, not to God, to Adam. Every being bowed except one. Iblis stood still, not out of confusion, not out of hesitation, but out of certainty. I am made of fire. He is made of clay. I am superior. And in that moment, his worship ceased to matter. His devotion ceased to matter. He was cast out, not just from paradise, but from belonging to it. But exile did not end his superiority complex. He did not accept separation. He wanted to return, not to belong again, but to enter paradise again. And he knew one thing: he could never pass through the gate, because at the gate stood Rizwaan, unmovable, unyielding, unmistakable. So Iblis did not approach him. He waited. He watched. He found another way, through deception, through concealment, through the serpent. He was carried in, hidden, smuggled. He did not walk through the gate. He bypassed it. What followed was inevitable: temptation, disobedience, the fall of Adam, the exile from paradise. All because someone who did not belong found a way in. Let's imagine, after a lifetime of longing, trials and tribulations, the lover finally arrives at the gates of paradise. And instead of welcoming it, he resists. क्या ही रिजवा से लड़ाई होगी? Before we even ask why there is a fight, let's pause for a moment and look at where we are. We are not on earth anymore. We are not in longing. We are not in waiting. We are at the gate of eternity itself. This is not a gate you simply walk through. This is the final threshold, a place where every desire has ended, every struggle has been accounted for, every life has reached its conclusion. And standing at this threshold is Rizwaan. He stands there not to decide, but to recognize. He recognizes what has been endured, what has been purified, what is ready. And more importantly, he recognizes what is not. Nothing slips through this gate, nothing persuades it open, because paradise is not something you are given. It is something you must already belong to. And that is why this line feels so strange. क्या ही रिस्वा से लड़ाई होगी. And in that strangeness lies the mastery of the maestro. क्या ही रिजवा से लड़ाई होगी. A fight here at this gate? This is not hesitation. This is not doubt. This is not even sadness. This is defiance in the face of eternal fulfilment. And before we even know the reason, we already know this. Something has happened that has made even paradise negotiable. One could imagine how difficult it is to even reach this point, how nothing unworthy crosses this threshold, how even those who once stood among angels could not enter freely again. So, when Ghalib says, "Kya hi Rizwa se ladai hogi?" he is not exaggerating. He is placing the lover at the one place where no one ever fights. That takes care of the DGMC impression of the first line. Let's start getting into the DGMC impression of the second line. घर तेरा खुल्द में गर याद आया. This is not about her. This is about the place that holds her. Not a command, not a denial, not even the beloved herself, just a memory. Not of her face, not of her voice, not of her presence, but of her house. At the gates of paradise, where everything ends, where longing ceases to exist, what returns? The memory of her house. It is remembrance, not of the beloved, but of the house that holds her. Her door, her threshold, her street. Because for the lover, that place was never just a place. It was where longing ruled, where hope flourished, where absence felt presence. And now, standing at the gates of paradise, that memory returns. शेख इब्राहिम ज़ौक़ का ये शेर. तेरा आशिक ना हो आसूदा बाज़ेरे तूबा, खुल्द में भी तेरे कूचे की हवा याद रहे. The approximate translation is, may your lover never be at peace under the tuba tree of paradise. Even in paradise, may the memory of the breeze of your street flourish and live. In that moment, when the memory returns, paradise is no longer enough. That is the collapse. Everything that was supposed to be complete, final, fulfilling, suddenly feels insufficient. And so the fight begins. Not because the lover rejects paradise, but because paradise does not contain what he truly desires. Beloved street, and in today's couplet, the memory of the beloved street beats paradise in its eternity. मोमिन खान मोमिन का ये शेर. मोमिन खुदा के वास्ते ऐसा मकान ना छोड़, दोज़ख में डाल खुल्द को कुए बुता ना छोड़. The approximate translation is, Momin, and the poet is referring to himself, for God's sake, do not leave behind such a house. Let heaven go to hell. Don't leave beloved's home. The lover would rather suffer in her world than be at rest without her. हसरत मोहानी का ये शेर, रंज देगी बागे रिजवां की तन आसानी मुझे, याद आएगा तेरा लुत्फ़े सितम रानी मुझे. The approximate translation is, it will grieve me, all the relaxation and luxury of Rizwa's garden of paradise. I will remember your excruciatingly enjoyable torture all the time. Ghalib captures the lover's resistance to enter paradise clearly, but in his famous unsaid way, he also captures the lover's longing to return back to where that memory belongs. The lover's heaven was never heaven. It was always her world, her presence, her nearness. फ़क्र ज़मान का ये शेर, तेरी गली से किसी भी गली की शान नहीं, कि इस ज़मीं पे सुनते हैं आसमान नहीं. The approximate translation is, no street holds the splendor like that of your street. It's heard there is no heaven on earth. So when Ghalib says, घर तेरा खुल्द में गर याद आया, he is not describing memory. He is describing a memory in whose presence even paradise fails. All right, that takes care of DGM's impression of the second line. Now, as always, let's step back and look at the couplet in totality. क्या ही रिजवां से लड़ाई होगी, घर तेरा खुल्द में गर याद आया. In the share we covered last time, जिंदगी यूं भी गुजर ही जाती, क्यों तेरा रह गुजर याद आया. The memory was impacting the lover on earth. But in today's couplet, the memory is impacting the lover in paradise itself. And that's a beautiful connect between the two shares. There's an escalation of the power of memory, right? In today's couplet, the lover does not reject paradise after experiencing it. He rejects it at the very moment it is offered. And that is a very distinguishing nuance. This is not a story about longing anymore. The memory does not arrive loudly, but it does not disturb quietly either. It enters softly and unsettles completely. If we step back just for a moment and look at what has happened across these two lines, something very simple and yet very unsettling becomes clear. In the previous couplet, the memory of her street disturbed the quiet passing of lover's life on earth. Here, in today's couplet, the memory of her house is powerful enough to disturb the lover at the gates of paradise itself. Which means this is not a story about longing anymore. This is a story about scale. What is greater? What is final? What is truly fulfilling? Because for most of us, paradise is the end. But for the lover, paradise is only meaningful if it contains her. And if it does not, then even paradise feels like exile. वाजिर अली सबा लखनवी का ये शेर, आदम से बागे खुल्द छूटा, हमसे कुए यार, वो इब्तिदाए रंज है, ये इंतहाए रंज. The approximate translation is, Adam was expelled from Garden of Eden, and I from beloved street. That was the beginning of grief. This is the extreme of grief. The lover is not rejecting paradise, he is revealing something deeper. He is revealing that eternal fulfillment is not defined by where you arrive, but by who is present when you do. And that is why, even at the highest possible reward, even at the most complete moment, the lover is still unsettled. Because something pulls, and that something is not desire, is not hope, it is not even expectation. It is memory. Memory that follows the lover everywhere. And perhaps that is the lover's destiny. To live in a state where nothing will ever fully complete. So when Ghalib says, क्या ही रिजवान से लड़ाई होगी, घर तेरा खुल्द में गर याद आया, he is not imagining a moment. He is revealing a state of being. A state in which even paradise is not enough. And perhaps that is love's doing. This couplet leaves us not with an answer, but with a question. What is that one memory that no matter how far you go, can still pull you back? A memory that returns not loudly, not dramatically, yet intensely at the most unexpected moments. And in that moment, everything suddenly feels insufficient. Perhaps we all carry a memory like that. A memory that does not belong to the present, does not belong to the past, but still shapes both. This memory belongs to you. Today's share is not just about a lover standing at the gates of paradise. It is about realizing that all of us carry something within that even eternal fulfillment cannot satisfy. Some lovers realize it over time, some already know. So, that brings us to the end of क्या ही रिजवां से लड़ाई होगी, घर तेरा खुल्द में गर याद आया. Now, to end the episode, allow us to narrate a ghazal that beautifully ties to our couplet today. This ghazal is by Allama Iqbal and it is titled तेरे इश्क की इंतहा चाहता हूँ. This is how it goes. तेरे इश्क की इंतहा चाहता हूँ, मेरी सादगी देख क्या चाहता हूँ. सितम हो कि हो वादाए बेहिजाबी, कोई बात सब्र आजमा चाहता हूं। ये जन्नत मुबारक रहे जहीदों को, कि मैं आपका सामना चाहता हूं। जरा सा तो दिल हूं मगर शौक इतना, वही लन तरानी सुना चाहता हूं। कोई दम का मेहमान हूं ए अहले महफिल, चरागे सहर हूं बुझा चाहता हूं। भरी बज़्म में राज की बात कह दी, बड़ा बेअदब हूं सजा चाहता हूं। तेरे इश्क की इंतहा चाहता हूं, मेरी सादगी देख क्या चाहता हूं। All right, that finally brings us to the end of this episode. Now, for all our new viewers, a strong recommendation to access the episode Introduction to DGMC, because this will give you insights into the motivation and inspiration behind this podcast. For our regular viewers, whenever you have time, visit the homepage of the channel. We have playlists segregated by topics and ghazals. Surf through them and pick an episode that interests you. If you have not joined us on Facebook and Instagram yet, do so. We would love to have you there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close this episode by sending a lot of love and light to all you dear viewers, and thanks for watching.